Hey guys, thank you so much for coming out today. I appreciate you showing up. Those of you might say, why does Larry not have a mask on? I am far more than 6 feet away from everybody in this room. So we are absolutely doing social distancing, as of course we should be, so I'm far enough away. Why in the world would I be here in McGraw, New York, talking about candidates who are running locally? Why wouldn't I be hanging out on a Saturday in Queens, hanging out with my family? Because these local races matter. That's why. Because these local races matter tremendously. Now, while I hope that everyone out there and everyone watching right now will go out of their way to vote for Joe Jorgensen for the presidential election, I hope we all do. On top of that, we also have to support local candidates to grow this party. It is critically important that we grow this party. We were talking earlier today, a couple of candidates in this room, about the battle back and forth between Blue Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, anti-cop, pro-cop, racial issues back and forth. That's happening right now across this entire country. Heavily here in New York too, and in this area, Central New York, yeah, it is happening all over the place. Absolutely is happening. So are the Democrats or Republicans going to solve this problem? No, they're not. They're going to jump on one side or the other, point their finger at the other side and blame and say, see how bad the other is? Vote for me and I will protect you from the other. That's all they're going to do. But I would ask you, when this began to rear its ugly head earlier this year, what party had an actual answer to this? Libertarian Party. At the top of our party, Justin Amash, Congressman, immediately came up with a bill, end qualified immunity. Do something to make an actual change. Congress didn't want to vote on that. Of course not, because that might have been an actual change. I talked about insurance for law enforcement officers, to make sure only the bad cops are punished and the good cops are able to keep a good name. I even had the idea that, you know what? Unions can be insurance brokers to keep the police union still involved in this. So we don't have to destroy unions or anything like that, but keep them involved too. Let's do it all. Only libertarians had actual solutions. Nobody else did. As we begin to divide ourselves more and more, the only group of people who actually want to bring us together, the group of people who actually want to stop focusing on the negative and focus on the positive, is this movement here. That's it. This is why it's so important that we grow this movement today, that we grow this movement this year, so that we're ready for this year, the next year, and the year after. Because here's the hardest part. America is going to need some healing coming up here, no matter who wins in November. Trump wins, Trump loses. No matter what, we're going to need some healing. Do you honestly believe that Democrats or Republicans can do that healing? You and I both know the answer is no. They're going to continually divide because that's what's been working. What group can? The libertarian movement can do it. Some of you are going to say, but Larry, I'm a Democrat. Larry, I'm a Republican. Okay, I'm glad you're either of those two. Awesome. It doesn't mean you can't vote gold. You can. You can be registered Republican or registered Democrat, and you can still vote Libertarian this year. You can still do it. It's what matters. Look up and down your ballot, find that L, find that Libertarian, and vote because that Libertarian cares. I'm going to bring up now, if I could, a Libertarian that I know who cares. One running, he's in District 51, who's been talking about issues, talking about solving problems, making things better for his world. Bring him up right now, Tim O'Connor.
Okay, guys, maybe you're getting sick of seeing me at this point. I've been following Larry all over New York State. Last night we were in Schoharie County. Earlier today we were in Madison County, and now we're out here in Cortland County. This is actually Senate District 51, as is Schoharie County. And I want to offer you guys a little piece of what my resume is, okay? I started my young adult life on a farm in Franklin, New York. We were throwing hay bales. We were tearing down silos and building additions on barns. We were salvaging nails because that's real, okay? Resources are scarce and they are important. And we were doing the hard work of growing our family and growing our farm. I was lucky enough to take a standardized test and score really well on it. That opened up avenues of possibility for me. I attended Binghamton University and I received an economics degree from Binghamton University. I also studied philosophy while I was there, and never did I identify with a political party. And as a matter of fact, sometimes even as a libertarian, I sense a challenge of identifying just as a libertarian. But when I have conversations with guys like Larry, if I have an issue and I can reach out to them, or I want to talk to a scientist like Dr. Mark Brayman about vitamin D and how we can actively protect ourselves, or I want to talk to a young man that's here today about what his future will look like if his neighbors start to trust him more and we trust each other more. We've got a kid here that literally sells food, grows it on his farm, gets it processed, and is willing to sell it to his neighbor. Now, for me, that's a process I've always done. All right, we fill our freezers in Senate District 51 with food from our neighbor's farm. And we have a land use deficit here. I don't know if any of you guys have noticed driving through here. Our area is beautiful. It's wonderful, but it's also, people are fleeing just like they are the rest of the state. That is an absolute fact. And so that's why I'm running. And guys, the machine, the duopoly stood against me, and they managed to prove that I don't know who I am and I don't know where I live. They literally did it. I went to rectify it. That's an impossibility because Republicans and Democrats work together to grow the power of the state. It's not a debate. It's not an argument. It's a fact. And so people talk about sustainable energy and they talk about sustainable economics. We've forgotten a big piece of the puzzle. We don't have sustainable government. It took one virus, which it is a big deal, guys. Don't get me wrong, but it took one event to bankrupt the state. Okay? We're now going to be begging, Cuomo's going to be begging Trump. If you guys enjoy soap operas, let's keep an eye on the news about that. Okay? This is going to be hilarious. First, he's calling Kentucky a welfare state because they get federal aid and New York State doesn't. And now he's going to argue, cajole, grovel, and then attack and beg for money for New York State. And even if he gets it, we talked about this last night, Larry, it's not $60 billion this year. It's $60 billion this year. It's $60 billion next year. It's $50 billion a year. And we're still going to end up heading south through bankruptcy. That's a reality. So guys, I wanted to offer an opportunity to hire someone that's going to serve you, that's not going to act as part of the existing bureaucracy. These guys get themselves elected to good paying jobs where they go and I don't even want to knock the guys because they all try hard, but they go there, they're serving big business, they're missing out on serving their neighbors, and they craft platitudes that don't serve our communities. And you can take a look around any of your communities, guys, any of them, and you can see poverty's creeping in. Industry has left, okay? Libertarians want to bring that stuff back. We need support. I'm gonna do the work anyway. Guys, you aren't gonna elect me this time around. I know that, all right? I know that this is a big challenge, but the challenge is worth it. I raised my kids in this state. I still have 2 here. One's already moved on to greener pastures in another state. And I found that to be, I don't want to say depressing because she took advantage of a great opportunity, but she is a talented individual. She worked her way up from Albany, SUNY Albany, to Syracuse University to graduate from William and Mary with a law degree. All right, but that talent is now out in the world. It's not in your state. It's not part of the community that helped raise her. And that's real. And we're not doing enough of removing this government interference, the price of virtue signaling. What we need is a sustainable government that starts here with us working to grow our communities and make agreements that can help guys like Dakota, that can help small business guys that want to start a contracting business. Maybe guys want to go into manufacturing, but let me tell you right now, that almost can't happen in New York State, okay? You have to have enough money to grease the wheels of every single politician and every single person on your way to opening a business in New York State, period. And if you can open a small retail location, we talked to Jake Cornell earlier, okay? The hurdles, the hoops that you have to jump through to sell hemp. To sell hemp, guys, it's literally a health product. To sell hemp, okay, are astronomical, incredible, and bizarre, all right? There's a way to grow these things. You have to trust me. We have to break the duopoly apart. I'm willing to do the work. I'm doing the work. And why would I? I mean, I'm broke. I'm driving around New York State to talk to people in small groups and large groups. But guys, that's the message of libertarianism, the message of liberty, the message of the answers are closer to the home than they are watching Cuomo beg Trump for money that doesn't even really exist, okay? I'm an economics guy. Trust me when I tell you, as we explode the money supply, there's only one possible outcome down the road. As we devalue the money supply. The devaluing of the money supply, our minimum wage workers, as we devalue what they're making, they're going to be able to buy less. They're going to be unhappy. They're going to leave New York faster and faster unless we somehow, guys, and your vote can help us put the brakes on that. I got to thank you all for being here. Larry, once again, you breached, we're following, and thank you very much.
So I'm so happy. Thank you, Tim, for those few minutes. I want to bring up a couple of things that he talked about. His daughter left New York. I'm not mad at his daughter. I get it. Lots of them leave. The problem is we messed up as New Yorkers, and we didn't make this a place. The opportunity for her should have been. That opportunity for her should have been here, and it wasn't. We can fix that.
Did I mention what she does?
What did you do?
First of all, they were involved in medical marijuana.
Medical marijuana.
Law and cannabis. And now her law, that law could exist anywhere in the country.
Yes.
And it doesn't exist in New York. And offer our children opportunities.
So we lost opportunity because of silly laws in our state.
Absolutely.
100%. Absolutely correct. But it's the second thing you brought up. And that's the idea that you feel like you won't be elected this year, but you got to keep doing the work. And I want to cover that piece. A lot of libertarian candidates won't win. That's true. But some will. But even those that don't win, we have to build our party up now. The average voter out there who's not paying deep attention will pay attention when all of a sudden they look on their news and they say Democrat got X, Republican got Y, Libertarian got Z. Just seeing that on their TV. And they're not going to show that if we get less than 1%. But if we get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, 20%, they show that. In New York City, we had an election for the public advocate. Our candidate got, I think, 3 or 4%. Literally on Eyewitness News, ABC, New York City, 16 million metro person area, his face was on TV. His face was on TV. Democrat won, New York City, surprise. Then Republican, then Libertarian with 3%. But he was there, and people went, oh, that's a real party. I can't tell you how much that matters. As I said, we're going to have to bridge that gap. This is the long game, guys. It's the long game. We're not going to fix literally decades of damage that have been done to this state. We can't fix this in 5 minutes. We can't fix this in even 1 year, but we can fix it over time. It's the long game. It begins this year by voting gold. And you may say, Larry, how is voting gold going to do anything? How is it really going to reach that gap? Because for many of you out there who know people who've been Democrats for a long time or Republicans for a long time, they're not going to vote for the other. But they will vote for Libertarian. A Democrat has been a Democrat for 30 years is never going to vote Republican. But they'll definitely vote Libertarian. A Republican who's been a Republican for 30 years is not going to vote Democrat. But they'll vote Libertarian. Yeah, they will. But more importantly, in New York State, we have fusion voting. And what fusion means, those of you who aren't in New York State watching, fusion means you can actually be part of more than one party. You can be on more than one line in New York State. About 7 states have it. New York uses it a whole lot. In fact, some of our candidates have 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 lines. Last year, we had about 103 victories in New York State for Libertarians. About 7 or 8 of those were Libertarian registered. The rest was some form of fusion. What does that mean? We had people who ran the Libertarian line and the Republican line, Libertarian line and the Democrat line, Libertarian line and the Conservative line. They ran on multiple lines, left and right. That's proof in itself that we can cross over. Today, I want to bring up somebody who is doing exactly that, who is able to get multiple lines to bring people together so that more than one group of people can see him, vote for him, and make some change. And that man is Matthew McIntyre.
Thank you, Larry. My name's Matthew McIntyre, as Larry said. I'm going to give you a brief rundown of who I am, kind of like Tim did. I grew up in this area. I grew up in Cortland County. I grew up in Homer, out towards Preble. I left this area, joined the Marine Corps, did my 4 years there, lived out in beautiful San Diego County, California. Loved it. We got out of the Corps, me and my family, and we were then left with a choice. Do we let the federal government move us anywhere as I wanted to in the country? Anywhere. Or do we come home? We came home. My wife's from Syracuse. We wanted kids to have the same opportunities that I had when I was growing up. And little to our hubris did we come home and it's gone. Why is it gone? Because we've allowed politics to run the way politics are running now. Smear campaigns, we are allowing them to run just vote blue no matter who, or the Trump train, whatever you want to call it, and not pay attention to the policies, the platform, who these candidates are. Okay? I've served you once before. I'll serve you again. I am a registered Libertarian, temporary chair for the Cortland County Committee. I was approached by the Republican Party to run on their line, and I successfully got that line. Why is that big? Well, because it's the first time a legacy party has reached out to a third-party candidate to run on their line because they didn't have any.
Yes.
What's awesome about that, and the same token is, I've had these same people approach me, well, you need to change this, change that, change this. No. For the simple fact that I fought for the Constitution, and I want every single one of you to have the ability to have your right to property, your right to life, and your right to liberty. Notice how I didn't say the pursuit of happiness, because you get those three, you will have the pursuit of happiness. It's not an idea. It's woven in the fabric of being an American. It's woven in what used to be the great state of New York. New York used to be the port where people would come in. That was the first state that they saw when they came into this country. New York City, where Larry's from, was the first place where a lot of immigrants came in. They saw that Statue of Liberty. Liberty. Not oppression, where they left. Not what we got now of decades of Democrat rule, of oppression, and thinking that you don't know what's best for you. And you know what, Dakota? I want you. Build your farm, build it big, sell directly to your neighbors. Government shouldn't have a say in that. We have a lot of hemp farms in this area. Shoot up over the hill right now from where we currently are, there's a giant hemp field right across from a golf course that somebody took their pasture. They took their pasture, they turned it into a golf course. I mean, the clubhouse is a house, okay? It is a giant hemp field. There's hemp fields out in Homer. Their margins are so small. Right here, right here in McGraw, out on 41. Their margins are so small. Why? Because they're getting taxed to death. They're getting regulatory pressures for a plant that literally does nothing psychoactively, that you can use it to build roads, fuel vehicles, build houses, put it on. Why? Well, because they need to subsidize their overspending. They need to subsidize things that realistically we could do in the private sector. Okay? So we came home. I'm going to digress a little bit. So we came home. I went to Lemoyne, got a bachelor's in business. I was like, free market. I'm going to start a business. Majored in business management and leadership with minor in political philosophy. It was a hobby. Okay? It was a hobby. Reading Frederick Bastiat's The Law, John Locke, The Two Trees, which is one of my favorite readings. If you could get your hand on that book, it tells you the fabric of our country. Join the private sector. So corporate America was like, okay. Got a master's, an MBA from Syracuse University. I'm ready to go. Started a business doing tactical firearms instructing right here in McGraw. Cuomo won, and they started passing more laws, proposing more things on regulatory for guns, ammo, training, trying to pass a law where I can't train someone under the age of 18, but yeah, you can hunt at 14. Figure that one out. And my business died. People stopped calling. They didn't want to take the chance of me having their name because you could subpoena my records and now we know who's got guns. So my business died because of Democrat rule, of fear. So why am I here now? I was asked, do you have anybody that you think that would run? And I didn't hesitate too long. I was like, what the hell, I'll throw my name in it, because I was hoping to run against the incumbent. And when I called her out in Albany, I believe Barbara Lifton got scared. Because she announced like a month later that she was going to quit. And then the madness ensued. There was 8 in the primary for the Democratic run. And I'm not going to give her a name. I'm actually stealing that from you, Larry. I'm not giving my opponent a name. It doesn't matter. Why? Because her party hasn't worked. People have lost their jobs in Tompkins County. They want to close the salt mine, which employs thousands of people. They closed the power plant in Lansing. I want to open it back up. You want to talk about renewable resources? Let's retrofit that nuclear power plant to a level 4 reactor, and let's put people back to work. What are these people doing now? They're living off the system. Let's keep the salt mine there. It's not harming anybody. It's doing a good service. We have a factory right here in Portland called Marietta that actually gets their salt from Ithaca to make their products, which you use every day, body wash, shampoos. That salt goes in there for the entire country. They service the entire country. They're not helping you. They're smoke and mirrors. Anytime you talk to a Republican or a Democrat, and I'm going to call them out, you do not see policy. You see mudslinging. You see bogus accusations that are they're unfathomable. So what am I going to do for you? I can tell you right now, you vote for me and I win, we will be having multiple town halls. We will be hearing from you, and it will be very easy to get me because you guys will have access to my cell phone. Because I want you to call me. I'm a libertarian. We don't work for the party. We're a group of people that are like-minded. We work for you, the citizens. We are representatives, not dictators. I want you to be able to decide how you live your life. I want just laws, not unjust. We got a lot of things that in this county that can be better. We got a lot of things in this state that can be better. And the only way to get that is by vote and gold. Both at the local level, county, to state, and in a couple of years, if our guy Larry runs again, right back at the governor's seat. Right now, as he said in the beginning, we got Joe Jorgensen. I'm going to bring it up. Joe Jorgensen, I love her. Mama Joe is great. PhDs. When was the last time we saw a presidential candidate with a PhD? We don't. Why don't we look at that? You got Democrats. I'm with her. I'm with her for Hillary, who's a psycho. She's crazy. But they're not with Mama Joe, who's a woman, who actually has their best interests at heart. Leave the colors out. We saw how color wars work. Look at the streets of Central LA. Red and blue don't fight. Not that way anymore. But yet we're still fighting it in the political ring. Knock it off. Vote gold. It's the only way we're going to be able to win. I want to thank you for coming out. If you have any questions, go to my website, go to my page. All your questions come straight to my phone and I will answer. Thank you.
So good and so happy that we have candidates like this running all across New York State. In fact, all across the country, but I'm blatantly biased. New York State's best. So yes, we have the best candidates, sorry. So anyway, I'm very happy that we have these candidates running, and I can't stress enough, now is the time. I know you hear it and you hear me say it, and I'm gonna keep saying it. Everyone's gonna tell you, this is too important of an election. You gotta stop Biden, you gotta stop Trump. I hear that all the time. I get it. I just want to be honest with anyone watching here. If you support Biden or if you support Trump, I get it. You think they're awesome. Good for you. I'm not mad at you. If you live in a state like New York, like California, Oklahoma, South Carolina, sadly, you have no say on who the president's going to be. You just don't. If you live in California or New York, your votes are going to Biden. You live in South Carolina or Oklahoma, your votes are going to Trump. It doesn't matter where you vote. That's what's going to happen, or who you vote for. That's what's going to happen. If you live in those states knowing that to be true, why in the world would you vote for Biden or Trump? You are literally throwing your vote away. Why would you do that? You should instead vote liberty, vote gold for the future. If you are a Democrat or Republican and you say to yourself, I really wish there were better Republicans, or I really wish there were better Democrats, if you believe that, I have the answer. What Matthew just said is, you can't find policy in those guys. He's right. Matthew also said, all they do is point to the other. He's right. But imagine if there was a third party that had some power, that had some influence. And once they point the other guy and go, he's bad, don't vote for him, vote for her instead. And there's another real viable option. That yelling and screaming at the other no longer works, because now it might go to somebody else and it'll stop. And they'll have to have actual policies. They'll have to have actual ways of looking back and not just coming to you every 2 years for the fear campaign. So they come at you in 2016 and go, the world's gonna end, vote for me. You get scared, vote for him. Nothing changes. 2 years later, 2018, vote for me or the world's gonna end. You get scared, you vote for him. Nothing changes. When are you gonna stop? My answer is now, this year. Change is this year. Vote gold this year. Vote for the future. Thank you guys. Thank you.